Welcome to Lesson 6 in Unit 14, Bugs and Blooms. In this lesson, students will work to answer the question, how do darkling beetles grow? In this lesson, students observe the various stages of a darkling beetle's life cycle. Students figure out that animals have a similar life cycle to plants: birth, growth, reproduction, and death. Students make connections to the storyline by figuring out that the darkling beetle has a unique life cycle. There are several opportunities for ELA cross-curricular connections throughout the lesson. You can look for specific standard connections in the Unit 14 Teacher Guide. This lesson will take approximately 3 to 4 days to complete. For the Engage portion, you'll introduce the anchoring phenomenon for this section. You'll remind students that they learned about bees and how they help plants grow, and how katydids use variations in traits to survive. Now they are going to investigate another interesting insect, the darkling beetle. You'll show students one of the mealworm larvae and ask them what they think it will look like when it's older. You'll then show students the image of the darkling beetle and tell them it's the same organism as the larva they just saw. You'll ask what questions they have and revisit the driving question board. You'll highlight any questions connected to the learning goals of this lesson by calling attention to questions about how insects grow or how darkling beetles grow. For the Explore portion, you'll put students in groups for the darkling beetle observation investigation. See the teacher tutorial for an example of the setup and procedure. You'll provide all students with a hand lens and pass out the darkling beetle observation student journal page. Students will observe the structure and the characteristics of the darkling beetles, noting and recording color, shape, size, and texture of the darkling beetles in each of the stages. In the Explain portion of the lesson, students will engage in a class discussion. You'll invite students to gather and analyze their observations and learning from the activity. You'll use the provided questions to guide the discussion around how do darkling beetles grow? The goal of this class discussion is for students to note the life stages of the mealworm and to use that model to assist them in explaining the similarities between an insect's life cycle and the bean's life cycle. You will use the discussion to create the Lesson 6 summary chart. From the discussion, students should understand that all living things have in common birth, growth, reproduction, and death. During the discussion, you'll have students read The Life Cycle of a Darkling Beetle article. You'll also post the egg, mealworm, larva, pupa, beetle, and metamorphosis vocabulary cards. For the Elaborate portion, you'll put the class into 5 groups. You'll give each group a set of life sequence cards. You'll have them put the cards in order. You'll ask students about the similarities and differences they see in the cards. You'll use chart paper to create a Venn diagram with 2 card sets. For the Evaluate portion, you'll have students complete the Darkling Beetle Life Cycle student journal page. To support student sense-making across the unit, you'll orient them back to the driving question board. You'll ask students, what did we learn about how darkling beetles grow? And what additional questions do you have now? By the end of this lesson, students will have developed a model describing the life cycle of an animal. In Lesson 7, they will consider how to best create a model to compare life cycles of different organisms. For the optional Extend portion, you can discuss the different stages of a frog's life and then have students complete the Extend Frog Life Cycle student journal page. For more information about this unit, visit mysitepartners.com.